Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Jaya Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha, Prabhupada, Jaya, Prabhupada, Jaya. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivadika Acharya Stotra Satsi Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem Sri Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shavasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki, Sri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki, Jai Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi Tulasi Maharani ki, Shri Shri Gaunita ki, Shri Shri Radha Vallabh ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki, Hari Nam Sankirtan ki, Tai Gaur Premanande, Granthra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Dhyayan Mudirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Sloke Bhaktir bhavati naistikim. We continue our reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1. Chapter entitles The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. Text number 40. Bhusansthanam kritam yena sarit giri banadibhi sarit giri banadibhi simacha bhuta nibrittai simacha bhuta nibrittai dvipe dvipe vibhagasa bhusamsthanam kritam yena sarit giri vanadhivi simacha bhuta nibrittai dvipe dvipe vibhagasa bhusamsthanam kritam yena bhusamsthanam kritam yena sarit giri vanadivi sarit giri vanadivi simacha bhuta nirvrittai simacha bhuta nirvrittai dvipe dvipe vibhagasa dvipe dvipe vibhagasa bhuta samsthanam kritam yena sarit giri vanadhivi simacha bhuta nirvrittai dvipe dvipe vibhagasa bhusamsthanam kritam yena sarit giri vanadhivi simacha bhuta nirvrittai dvipe dvipe vibhagasa bhusamsthanam kritam yena sarit giri vanadhivi simacha bhuta nirvrittai dvipe dvipe vibhagasa. Word for word. Bhusamsthanam, the situation of the earth. Kritam, done. Yena, by whom? Sarit, by rivers. Giri, excuse me, by hills and mountains. Banadibi, by forest and so on. Sima, boundaries. Cha, also. Bhuta, of different nations. Nibrittai, to stop fighting. Dvipe, dvipe, on the various islands. Vibhagasa, separately. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. To stop the quarreling amongst the different peoples, Maharaj Priyavrata marked the boundaries at rivers and at the edge of the mountains and forest, and so that no one would trespass upon another's property. Translation responsibly. To stop the quarreling amongst different peoples, Maharaj Priyavrata marked the boundaries at the rivers, at the edge of mountains, and forest, so that no one would trespass upon another's property. Purport by His Divine Grace Prabhupada ki jai. Purport. The example set by Maharaj Priyavrata in marking off different states is still followed. As indicated here, different classes of men are destined to live in the different areas. And therefore, the boundaries of the various tracts of land, which are described here as islands, should be defined by the different rivers, forests, and hills. This is also mentioned in relation to Maharaj Prithu, who was born from the dead body of his father by the manipulation of great sages. Maharaj Prithu's father was very sinful, and therefore a black man called Nishada was first born from his dead body. The Nishada race was given a place in the forest because by nature they are thieves and rogues. As animals are given places in the various forests and hills, men who are like animals are also destined to live there. One should be promoted to a civilized life. One cannot be promoted to a civilized life unless one comes to the Krishna consciousness. For by nature one is destined to live in a particular situation according to one's karma and association with the modes of nature. If man wants to live in harmony and peace, they must take Krishna consciousness, for they cannot achieve the highest standard while observed in the bodily concept of life. Maharaj Priyavrata divided the surface of the globe into different islands so that each class of men would live peacefully and not clash with others. The modern idea of nationhood has gradually developed from the divisions made by Maharaj Priyavrata. Om Ajnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militanmena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tatpakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhusam sthanam kritam enam saridgiri vanavidibhi simacha bhuta nirvritte dvipe vibhagasa. To stop the quarreling amongst different people, Maharaj Priyavrata marked the boundaries at rivers and the edges of mountains and forests so that no one would trespass upon another's property. So here, so we're coming to the close to the end of the chapter 1 of which is the entitles of Maharaj activity, Maharaj Priyavrata's activities. Now, Maharaj Priyavrata had, as we know, Maharaj Priyavrata was doing tapasya. Initially, he didn't want to take up the kingship, and he was convinced by the Lord Brahma, Swayambhu Manu, Narada, etc., to take up the kingship, and he has accepted. And so after taking up the rulership, he had children, and amongst the children there was 10 children from one and 3 children from other. Bharismati had 10 children. Out of 10, 3 took sannyas, and 7 will become the kings of the take over the kingship of his kingdom. And 3 from the second wife, Uttama, Tamas, and Raivata, will become a Manu. So he has now thus far he have organized. He has been king for overly, I think, 11 Arbudas. It's mentioned in the text 39. Was it? So with Arbuda is about 100,000 years, or 100,000 years. So 11 Arbudas he's ruled. And now he has come to the point of taking retirement, life of Vanaprastha. He was already in a somewhat Vanaprastha initially. But anyway, so now he's done his Grihastha life, and now it's coming to the Vanaprastha life. So in today's context, today's verse is now he is dividing the kingdom which he ruled and amongst his sons. So now that's why he says now to stop amongst the fighting amongst the different sons or even the different kings in the future. He has divided them equally and established. So that's a little bit of summary what we up to. So in the 5th canto, primarily deals with there are 10 subject matters in Bhagavatam described. The 10 subject matters which is given on the 10th chapter of the second canto. Sukadeva Goswami describes the subject matter which is discussed in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utaya Manvantare Shanu Katha Nirodha Mukti Asraya. So Sarga is the first primary creation that is created by the Lord, and Visarga, which is the Lord Brahma, comes into a place. He's now further expanding into the creation that Lord has already given the ingredients, given the manuals, and given the instruction how to create. So now Brahma takes over. That secondary creation is called Visarga. Now third is Sthanam. Sthanam is the Lord's creation, that for different living entity, where they're going to be placed according to the nature, karma, and so on and so forth. Different places. There will be heaven, there will be earth, and willows, and all that. So that is sthanam. Then poshanam is that to maintain that entire the living entities, their nourishment or the protection is poshanam. Utaya is a creative impetus. That's Lord, the creations and the auspicious or inauspicious That is all counted in the Utaya. And then there is Manvantara, the different duration that the Manus have ruled or the administration. The Manvantara period, that is described. Isanukatha, different topics of the Lord's pastimes. He has come into different incarnations, Matsya, Kurma, Baraha, Vamana, so on and so forth, Ram, Lord Ramachandra. And these all Isanukathas, the activities, great activities of the Lord. Nirodha, that is the dissolution or the winding up, the creation. Mukti, liberation. And Asraya. So these are the 10 subject matter that is discussed in the Bhagavatam. So today we will just give go into a little bit of summary, or just a very top level summary on the Sthanam part of that, because it is described here how Priyavrata Maharaj is now dividing his kingdom. So that is the topic we'll cover somewhat, just a very big overview of how is the creation. Now, as we understand, there is a spiritual world and material world. Division into, if you look at it in a whole big picture, it's a spiritual world and a material world. Even in the spiritual world, we have Vaikuntha, and then we have Goloka, Dwaraka, Mathura. That is all in the spiritual part. And then we have material world. So where does material world, the creation starts? Is from Mahavishnu. Lord Brahma gives this information. So in the spiritual world, in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma gives the spiritual world, material world, how it's divided. So he says, Goloka Namni Nijadhamni, the highest planetary system in the whole spiritual and material creation is Goloka. Goloka is Nijadham. Goloka Namni Nijadhamni. That's the Nijadham, means his personal abode. Lord Krishna's personal abode is Goloka, Vrindavan. Goloka Namni Nijadhamni Tale. Now, the word Tala means the bottom. Just like we have Atala, Bitala, Tala, Mahatala, all those talas. Tala is referring to a bottom. So starting from bottom, Tale Tasya Devi Dham. Now Devi Dham is referring to a material world. Then we have the Devi Dham, and then so Goloka Namni Nijadhamni Talecha Tasya Devi Mahesha. So Devi Dham, there is Mahesh Dham and Hari Dham, which is Vaikunthas. So Goloka Namni Nijadhamni Talecha Tasya Devi Mahesha Hari Dham Sutesu Tete Prabhava Nichaya. These are Prabhavas, these are the opulence of the Lord, the creation. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Similarly, in the conversation of between Sanatana Goswami and Lord Chaitanya in Sanatana Shiksha, when Sanatana Goswami was in Banaras, when we met, Lord Chaitanya gave him a very, he instructed Rupa Goswami, and he also instructed Sanatana Goswami. And the topic between Sanatana Goswami and the Lord Chaitanya gives very elaborately details of how the spiritual world and material world are created. So even in this chapter, which is Madhya Lila, chapter 21, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Devi Dhama Namatara Jivatara Vasi. So the material creation is known by Devi Dham, because the Lord, Mother Durga is in charge of Devi Dham. So Devi Dhama Nama Tara Jiva Yarabasi, where all the conditioned souls are put into. Jugal Lakshmi Rakhi Rahe Yaha Maya Dasi. So even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refers this the material cosmos as Devi Dham. So now, how does the creation begin again? Lord Brahma gives information and says, Yakaranarva Vajale. Karana Jala. Jale. Karana Jala. Bhaja Yoga Nidra. While Lord Vishnu is sleeping, or in the Yoga Nidra, slumber, it's transcendental slumber. Ananta Jagad Anda Ksharoma Kupa. Ananta refers to unlimited. Jagat Anda. Jagat Anda is, it's like the universe is in the form, is the shape in the form of egg. Ananta Jagat Anda Saroma Kupa. Roma Kupa means the holes of the pore of the body of Vishnu. So where the universes are coming? It is coming from the pores of Mahavishnu, while he is lying on the Karana Jala. Yakarana Jale Bhajatisma Yoga Nidram Ananta Jagadanda Kupa. Jagadanda Saroma Kupa Adhara Shakti Avalambya Param Swamurtim. So where the universe is now coming from is from the body of Mahavishnu. This is what Lord Brahma describes. Again, another verse from the Śrīmad Brahma Samhita. Again, Lord Brahma says, Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagad Anda Koti Koti. So now he's giving a number. It's not just one universe coming out of his pore. Koti refers to 1 crore. So what is he saying? He's saying Koti, unlimited. Millions and millions of universes coming. Yasya Prabha. Prabha is his energy. It is his transcendent energy. Jagadanda Koti Asesha Vasudha Adi. Vasudha is referring to the planetary system. It's coming out of Asesa. Asesa means unlimited. Vibhuti, Bhinnam. So they are separate. These are so Lord is coming out not just one universe. He is creating millions and millions of universes. Now, let's take our universe now. So we have Mahavishnu is lying in the Karna ocean, creating millions of universe. And within the universe, we are living in one of the universe, correct? Now, what's the size of our universe? This is mentioned given in the third canto of chapter 11, text 40. Vikarakai sahito yuktair vishesha adhivir abritaha andakosho bahir anyam panchasat koti visrita. Panchasat is 50. Panchasat is 50, yeah. And koti. Koti means again 1 crore. So our universe, the size of our universe given in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is 500 million yojanas. Now yojana is equals to one yojana is 8 miles. So that's, if you calculate that roughly comes out to 4 billion miles. So our universe is how? What's the size of our universe? 500 million yojana. Now, it won't be, because it gets too confusing. So just let's keep the yojana is the measuring, the Vedic measuring unit. They put, so all our in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Sukadeva Goswami gives all the measurements in yojana. Yojana is equal to 8 miles. 1 yojana equals to 8 miles. And so 1 mile is about 1.6 kilometers, right? So that's how. So size again, how big is it? So now the koti, millions and millions of universes are coming out, and one of the universe, which is ours, is the size given is 500 million yojana. That is the inner cell, not the covering. That the measurement is just within. So inner cell between top to bottom is 500. That goes both ways, up and down, and then cross. So 500. So such is the size of the because why if we look at it now, what Sukadeva Goswami is trying to, by explaining all this, going into, is the greatness of the Lord in creating all these facilities for the jivas who are wanting to be in different places. And not only he has a spiritual world, and even the material world, he makes all this arrangement. The greatness. That is what the point is trying to bring. Same thing in the conversation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya also confirms the same in the text of Madhya Leela, chapter 21, text 84. Exactly the same thing. He says, Krishna kahe ehi brahmanda panchasat koti yojana. That's 500 million yojana. Ati chudra tate tomara chari bandhana. So, once in the same context, actually, this is what's happened is, if we look at the conversation, Lord Chaitanya is giving the story of Lord Brahma visiting Dwarka. Once Lord Brahma came to see Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and he went to when he came to the gate, he told the guard, and said, "Could you please inform that Brahma has come, would like the audience?" And guard goes and asks the Lord, and the Lord asked the question back, and said, "Please go and ask which Brahma has come." So then guard goes back, and then he asked Lord Brahma, "Which Lord is asking which Brahma are you?" Right? And then Lord Brahma says, "I am four-headed Brahma. I'm the father of Sanat Kumaras." Just tell him that. So guard goes back, and then Lord gives. He said, "Okay, call him." Then after all the greetings and everything, the Lord Brahma was perplexed. And then first thing he said, everything else what I came, Lord Krishna asked him, "Why did he come?" And said, "I'll tell you what I come for, but please, I've got one doubt. Please tell me. I need a clarification." And when the guard came, he said, "You asked which Brahma are you?" Now, he said, "Is there any other Brahmas? I thought I was the only one." Then Lord Krishna has, as story unfolds, the Lord with his meditation, he brings all the Brahmas in one place. So what Brahma sees? He sees four-headed Brahma, who was himself, and then he sees others with a 10 head, 20 heads, 100 heads, and it goes up to Arbuda. Again, 100 million, the Arbuda is 100 million heads. Those many, the Brahmas came. Not only Brahmas, he also sees the Shivas and the rulers of the Indras and etc. All this. Lord Brahma is saying all this. right? And then, so while he was telling the story of so one of the texts says, anyway, so he's after showing all this universe, Lord Brahma is just like realized that how tiny, insignificant he was. So in that conversation, Lord Chaitanya says, Krishna kohe, this is now Krishna is speaking to Lord Brahma. Krishna kohe ehi brahmanda panchasat koti yojana ati chudra. He says, ati chudra means it's the very small. The universe you are managing, you are ruling, is the very small. Ati chudra. Tahe tomara chari vadana. You have 4 heads. Krishna says, your particular universe has a diameter of 4 billion miles. Therefore, it is the smallest of all the universe. Consequently, you have only 4 heads. Then says some of the universes are 1 million yojana, 1 billion yojana in diameter. Some are 1 trillion yojana, some are 10 trillion yojana, some are hundreds of trillions yojana. Thus, they are amongst the unlimited in area. Krishna is describing, giving. He said, now you think, I mean, your universe is big. Actually, our universe is the smallest. Amongst that, there are other universes which are far greater. This is in the Madhya Lila, chapter 21. Lord Chaitanya is telling that story. Now, Lord Krishna is saying to Brahma, according to the size of the universe, this is text 86. According to the size of the universe, there are so many heads on the body of Brahma. In this way, I maintain innumerable universes. Brahmanda anurupa brahma sarira badane e rupe pali. Pali ami means I maintain. Brahmandera gana. All this universe means I am the maintainer. Krishna is saying to Lord Brahma, I am the maintainer of these universes. Now, so let's go back to our small universe, which is 400 billion. Now that is divided into 14 planetary system. So highest is, so we are living here in the middle. We are in the Bhuloka. Then we have Bhuvarloka, which is just above us. Then Swarga. So Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. This is the upper planetary system. So, and then we have bottom, which is 7. So our is in the middle, which is the 7th. So starting from ours, so Bhur, Bhuvar, Swa, which is Sarga, Janalok, so Maharlok, Janalok, Tapalok and Satyalok, which is 7. And then below is Atala, Bitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala and Patala. This is the 14 planetary system. Even there is a song by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. He says, Nama Bina Nahi. What is it? What is it called? What was that again? Nama Bina Kichito Kichu Nahito Ara Chauda Bhuvana Majhe. This is 14 planetary system. He said, without the holy name, there's nothing in this 14 planetary system. Again, so 14 planetary system. So, now, so size, again, in terms, if you look at the size, so The 14 planetary systems are divided, so as I said, it's 500 million yojana. So our planet is almost in halfway. Actually, sun's planet, the sun is the halfway through both the universe. So 250 above the sun, 250 below the sun. This way also expanded into a cross, it's also 500. Half is only our residence. Where the living entity is placed is half the center of the universe. Rest of the half is Aloka Barsa. Where is this in the, I was just reading the Bhagavata cosmology book. It's researched by our scientists like Danvir Maharaj, Sadaputa Prabhu, and so many others, Antadvi Prabhu, and so many others. They have researched this Bhagavata cosmology in details and put all that information into one book. I was reading that. So the half of the universe is inhabited. So the other half is where all the description we are hearing from Maharaj Priyavrata. This is the half of the universe that has been being divided. So if we take the middle portion, which is the Bhumandala, this is the greatest circle of the middle portion. Maharaj Priyavrata has divided into 7 islands of that Bhumandala, which is the central circle. Today's verse talks about he divided this Bhumandala. So there are 7 islands which is he created, as we heard in the past, that he created by his chariot will. He's divided this land into a 7 track. Very central track is known as Jambudvip. Jambudvip is measured as 100 yojana, is the circumference of Jambudvip. The division is a ocean. So Jambudvip, and then there's ocean, the salt ocean. The size of the ocean is twice as the Jambudvip. So now Jambudvip is 100,000 yojana, this tract of land. The size of the ocean is also twice as much. Next ocean. The next island, which is Plakshadvip, is also twice as the first one. So like that, it goes up to 7. So first one is what? How much was it? 100 yojana. So the ocean, which is the next ocean, is the water ocean, which is 200,000 yojana. The land next to it is also 200,000 yojana. Again, the yojana is 8 miles. So it's huge size. So that's the smallest island. And the next one is Plakshadvip, which is the double as the Jambudvip. So it goes on. So so we have Jambudvip, Plakshadvip, then we have Salmali Dvips, Kushadvip, Kranchadvip, Sakadvip, and very last one is Pushkaradvip. So one is double the size of the previous, starting from Jambudvip, which is in the center. This is how he divided these islands into for his 7 sons to rule these islands. So his 7 sons were Agnidra was the eldest one, which he became the ruler of Jambudvip. I mean, we will hear later on, Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, when he hears all the descendant of Priyavrata Maharaj, and then he will ask the questions. In the first chapter, you mention about all these islands and dweeps and everything, all the lands. Could you please elaborate on that? We will hear from the chapter 16 onwards on this 5th canto. It's all about this cosmology It's just all description, how it is divided, what are the size, who lives there, how they are managed, and so on and so forth. So the 7 sons are Agnidra, so Idmajivha, Yagyabahu, Hiranyareta, Gritaprastha, Medatithi, and Vitihotra. So each ruled these. So first island is Jambudvip, second is Plakshadvip, Shalmalidvip, Kushadvip, Kranchadvip, Shakadvip, and Pushkardvip. These are the 7 sons who rule these 7 islands. This is what today's text talks about divisions in Prabhupada Maharaj divides them and gives these islands to these 7 sons. Now, we will hear a lot more details on each of these islands later on, so we will not go into this one. So where do we fit is if you look at the Jambudvip, as I said, it's 100 yojana. It's divided into verses, 9 verses. The Agnidra Maharaj becomes the ruler of Jambudvip. Now he has 9 sons. Then again this Jambudvip section will be divided into 9 sections, which will be called as verses in Bhagavatam terminology. Verses generally it means the tract of land which is between the mountains. Dvipa means, Dvi means 2, Pa means water. That land which has the water in 2 sides, that is called Dvipa, according to Bhagavatam explanation. So in Jambudvip again divided into 9 islands, which will be called as Varshas. These 9, the Agnidra Maharaj has got 9 sons, and he divides into 9 amongst his son. So one of the son of Agnidra Maharaj is Navi, which is so Navi Maharaj rules so each of the islands is named after these 9 sons of Maharaj Agnidra. So the 9th island, which we are in, it's generally known as Bharatvarsha because it becomes Bharatvarsha, but before Bharatvarsha, it was Ajnava-varsha, Navi, Ajnavi Varsha. So even the Bharatvarsha is divided into 9 division, and we are one of the Bharat Khanda. Then these 9 divisions in the Bharatvarsha is called Khandas, and we are one of those Khanda. Our planet is one of the Khanda that comes into play. So that's what we live in. See I mean, we're just trying to mention again. So how I think there was a story of once Prabhupada and Tamal Krishna Maharaj's interaction. I understand. I think somehow Prabhupada wanted to give him the how insignificant we are, and Prabhupada went like this: there is a spiritual world, is so and so big, and there is a whole planet Earth, and then in the planet Earth there is a country known as America. In America, we have, he goes to the state, and he goes to a city, and he goes into this street, and he finally brings it into a little tiny room. In this temple room, there's a person called Tamal Krishna. He thinks he's big, right? So if we look at it in a big, in a cosmos level, in the insignificant, we are a tiny bit. And yet, people and us, sometimes we claim that how great we are. Sometimes they even claim it as a God. Say, I'm God. Be a God of that is God. What what is the creation and what He can do and all that is God. So So now these lands are, so there is also this, there's heavenly planets, it's also divided into three. Dibya Swarga, Bhoma Swarga, and Vila Swarga. So the Dibya Swargas are mentioned is generally between all the planetary system between moon and the Dhruva planet, pole star. They are all Dibya Swargas. And the Bhoma Swargas these are the tract of lands that Maharaj Priyavrata has divided. They are all Bhoma Swargas. Where in these Bhoma Swargas, the personalities who reside there, they're also for each these islands and each of these varshas, there are specific persons residing there. As per Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, for example, the main residence of Bharatvarsha is Narad Muni. Narad Muni is there residing and worshipping Narayana. He is the worshipable deity. For example, the next Varsha is the Kim Purusha Varsha. Kim Purusha Varsha is the tract of land where Hanumanji is residing there, worshipping Lord Ramachandra. Next Varsha is Hari Varsha, where Prahlad Maharaj is residing there. Next Varsha is Ilavarad Varsha, which is where Lord Shiva is worshipping Sankarshan. He's one of the residents of Lord Shiva is there, Kailash. So on and so forth. Even the Bhumi is residing there, one of the Varsha, which is the Kuru Varsha. Our current Manu, Vayushrata Manu, he's in Ramyaka Varsha, he's there residing and worshipping Matsya. So now these all are known as Bhoma Swarga. The people in the Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga had the access to all this, the Bhoma Swarga. Depending on their piety, they were able to actually see them. From, so in Dwapar Yuga, it is mentioned they only have access until Jambudvip. If we study the Mahabharata, it's mentioned that Arjuna went up until this land and got the tax, defeated all those different, it's mentioned in this Savaparva of Mahabharata. The Arjuna went up until this, and then when he got up to the Kuru Varsha, which is the very far on the north, then the residents said, you can't go beyond this. It is no more permitted for thee because you are a resident. So Arjuna had access. I mean, it is mentioned that when the rulership of the Yudhishthira Maharaj was up to Jambudvip, all this tract of land was managed. Not only Maharaj Yudhishthira, the last king mentioned who ruled these islands were Parikshit Maharaj, as per Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. It's so in the Canto 1, Chapter 16, Text 12, Parikshit Maharaj, this is its confirmation that Maharaj Parikshit had access up until Jambudvip. It's mentioned here. Bhadraswam Ketumalam cha Bharatam Chauttaram Karun. Kim Purusha Adi Varshan Vijayan Jagre Balim. Maharaj says, the translation says, Maharaj Parikshit then conquered all parts of earthly planet, Bhadraswa, Ketumala, Bharata, and northern Kuru, Kim Purusha, etc. Exact the tribute or tax from their respective rulers. So even Parikshit Maharaj, we will see this, he had access to these islands, he was ruling. The Bhadrasha Varsha is the one of the Varsha, which is on the east of the Jambudvipa or the Sumeru Parvat. So the point here is, so how come we don't see it anymore? Because as the progression of our age progressed, our piety also diminished. So as the residents of Kali Yuga, the access is only given to Bharat Khanda. They still exist. They are still there. If we look at the enormity of if Krishna wanted to, if we just had this earthly planet, what's the size of the disk of the sun? Do you know? It's a huge. I mean, it's millions of. Even in modern science, it's massive. So why would Krishna create a massive sun globe just to shine the light on the earth only? No. There's a huge creation out there that Krishna is maintaining. Yeah, we don't have access, of course, but it's maintaining. It's there in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Is there in Puranas. It's all there. So, anyway, so yeah, it's there. It's mentioned that yes, Kali Yuga residents, because of the impiety, because of the impious, we don't have access anymore. I think somebody mentioned the Madhvacharya. When he went to see Vyasadeva, he was able to see all that, and he actually traveled there. That was the last modern says. Anyway, so the point is, Maharaj, but again, Sukadeva Goswami is trying to show the enormity of the creation and saying this is all done by the Lord. So it's another way, indirectly glorifying the greatness of the Krishna. This is what's the entail of the whole 5th canto, is giving a description of sthanam, different residence for different living entity to enjoy, or the desire to fulfill the desires of the living entities. Krishna creates this. Again, of course, as the chapter goes further, we will read much more in details. I thought I'd just give you a summary, because it describes, in this text, it's mentioned, the Prabhupada Maharaj, how he divided his kingdom and gave it to his sons. So in a purport, Srila Prabhupada kind of starts with the statement saying the division of the countries, it didn't just started just now. The states and everything is now, it's all done from the Maharaj Priyavata's time. And if we don't have a system of a division, we have a chaos. Just like I think there's a whole dispute going between Pakistan and India because of the border dispute. Some dispute, I guess. China, India, there's so much border disputes taking place. Anyway, so so another point Prabhupada makes is he talks about the Nishada, the Prithu Maharaj's, what do you call it, older brother, you can call it. Because when the body of the King Vena was churned, who came first? Nishada. He had another name. What was it called? I forgot. Bahuka. Yeah, that was his other name was Bahuka. The real name is Bahuka, and then Nishada because he came out there, and then sages told him, "Shit, you sit down, don't move." Nishada in Sanskrit means sit down. Nishada, or sit down. That's why he is also known as Nishada. So Prabhupada mentions these division is required. I think Prabhupada is making a point. These divisions are required because not every class can live in mixed with. Better to have a separate tract of land for a different type of different characteristics and different. So that therefore these divisions are done, as we understand from the pastimes of Maharaj Prithu. So the forest or the tribal land was given to Nishada Raja. I'll just read the few texts from this pastimes of Maharaj Prithu, or division, or the Bahuka, how he came in and why was it divided. This is from the Canto 4 of Chapter 14 of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Text 42 says, the sages decided that the descendant of a family of saintly King Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. After making the decision, the saintly persons and the sages churned the thighs and the dead body of the King Vena with great force, and according to a specific method, a result as this churning, the dwarf-like person was born from the King Vena's body. This person, born from the King Vena's thigh, was named Bahuka, and his complexion was black as a crow. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat. His eyes were reddish, and his hair was copper-colored. He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, "Sir, what shall I do?" The great sages replied, "Please sit, Nishada." Thus, Nishada, the father of Nishada race, was born. After this, Nishada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant action of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishada class are always engaged in these sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forest. So, I mean, the point of division is why it's required. I think this is what I was trying to make a point, that not everyone can live in the same tract of land. The division is required according to the nature of the practitioner, or the nature of the living entities is given. That's the division of the. In the Nishada race, I think when Lord Ramachandra was going to the forest, this is the race. Actually, first Lord Ramachandra met, and then he stayed with them. Nishada, right? Nishada Raj, yes. And this is all coming from Maharaj Prithu's line, of course. They become exalted devotees. They're not always. They didn't remain always sinful, but as the race went on, became great devotees. And they served Lord Ramachandra they look after him. Ramachandra even, in fact, stayed for some time with them. And then he helped create a boat, and then, took them across of the Ganges River somewhere. So they have served, and then they're very dear to Lord Ramachandra. When he even returned, actually he stopped and again met, and then he brought with him Nishada Raj to the Ayodhya for his coronation. So they became devotees after some races. So such a big creation. We are tiny insignificant beings, huh? Sometimes we think, okay, we are the controllers. It is not. Krishna is in control. Huh? Just see the enormity of what's there, what we are. So our only hope is to surrender to Krishna. Krishna says, you surrender to me, all this I will take care. This is my responsibility. Huh? Even though we are living far, 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 far away from Goloka Vrindavan or from a spiritual planet, Krishna says, I can take you easily. Huh? Imagine, if you have to travel 500 million years in just the inner part, and then there's about 7 or 8 layers of the covering of the universe, which is the 10 times more than the previous one. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's not in calculation of 500 million years. It's outside. We have to go that far and then go. Yogis meditate, and to go through this difficult path of going through all this travel. They reach all the way up to Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. Even they still have to go cross that. Krishna says, don't worry. I can take you just like this in a moment. So we are in good hands. Yeah? By Prabhupada's grace, if we follow his this simple devotional service and chanting and serving the Lord, we can go. We shouldn't be scared, or we shouldn't be. It's very for Krishna. If we can create millions of universes and float them in space, he has got a great ability to do anything. That is Lord Krishna. Anyway, so we'll end here. Any questions, comments, corrections? Yeah, I was just reading this book, the cosmology. I was like, wow, it's something that's unfathomable. It's just such a great. And in appreciation, I was understanding. The modern science or modern things, what we learn, it's just not a fraction. There's nothing. They don't have information. And that information is all in the Bhagavatam and Puranas. It's all there. So Vyasadeva, by the grace of Vyasadeva, he has put in all this for us to understand, and appreciate. When Maharaj Sukadeva Goswami describes all this, the cosmology and all that thing, and the Phalashruti of the hearing of this greatness is, it's one of the Phalashruti is that you will have the faith in spiritual or spiritual life or Krishna, in Krishna will be established. Because with our tiny mind, with tiny brain, tiny logic, we want to put in everything in logic, but it's just beyond, way beyond. God. So, Krishna is great. God is great. That's how He's great. Yeah? Amazing. Yeah. Yes, bro.
So there are 9 versas.
Mm-hmm.
Do
we have mic? No. I can repeat. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the versas is Bharatvarsha.
Mm-hmm.
And Bharatvarsha is divided into 9 khandas.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the khandas is a planet.
Mm-hmm.
So is this Earth planet the only planet in that khanda, or like all the moon and sun and everything comes under this one khanda, and then there are other set of planets in different khandas?
Mm. The Earth is the only planet on that khanda, as far as my understanding is, because everything we see, it's the universe. All the moons and stars are not part of the earthly thing, because they are supporting. They are gradas. They are planets. So, in terms of physically located, what's included in the 9th khanda is our globe, which we live, which is about 12,000 miles or kilometers in size. That is the only one. The one khanda. That covers the whole one khanda as this planet. The rest of the 9 khandas are they're not accessible for us. Yeah. And the whole Varsha came after Maharaj Navi. His son is Rishabdev. Rishabdev's son is Bharat Maharaj, the oldest son is Bharat Maharaj. Rishabdev Maharaj has 100 sons. Out of 100 sons, 81 became the saintly persons. They didn't get married. 9 became Navayogendras, also became the rishis. The 10 sons actually became kings or kshatriyas. Amongst them, the oldest was the Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was ruling the entire Bharat Varsha. And then the demigods were so pleased, they changed the name of that whole island he was ruling. It was so perfectly ruling into a Bharat Maharaj's name, under the Bharat Maharaj. So he became Bharat Varsha. Then when Bharat Maharaj retired, he gave the 9 islands to his brothers, 9 brothers. So yeah. So anyway, it's huge. Yeah, I'm not the expert but I was just reading. I was just trying, trying to understand. So yeah, as per your questions, if the 9th khanda of the Bharat Varsha is the only planet of Earth, yes, that is on the Earth. Our Earth planet is the 9th khanda of the Bharat Varsha, as per the Bhagavatam. That's the only one. Yeah. There's a lot to learn and a lot to. I'm still grasping in, but yeah, it's fascinating. It's very wonderful. I think Danvir Maharaj, Sadhaputta Prabhu, quite a few devotees that have done a great number of research, going through all the works of Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and all the saint they have written a commentary, and they put all this into a context. So they've gone through all that and then put all the research work together. And there are also some videos on the YouTube describing all that. It's fascinating. It's wonderful. Anyway, we will be studying in details as we go from chapter 16 onwards. It's all about this. So each speaker will have their own. They'll give us some more insight. Jai Shri Radha Vallavi ki Jai, Granth Raj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.